Hello guys, this is Jack Later, and I'm going to show you how I broke through a genealogy brick wall using a probate record. The lesson I learned here is that don't assume that just because a person wasn't rich or didn't leave a will, don't assume that you can't find genealogical information about your family through probate records. Because even if they didn't leave a will, and if they had property, even a small amount of property, then chances are you'll find family members. So let me show you what I did here, and I think it'll help you in finding your own, breaking through your genealogy brick walls. Okay, so what I have here is over on the left. That's me, Jack Later. In the middle, this is my father here at the left of this older lady here, and my mother. But in the middle here is my dad's grandmother. Her name is Minnie Wilcox, and we know already that her father's name was Thomas Boone Wilcox. That's the person here on the right, Thomas Boone Wilcox. But what we didn't have is good documentation to show who his father was and who his grandfather was. We do have some documentation on on Thomas Boone's father, but not Thomas Boone's grandfather. So it was the grandfather that we didn't know. But I was able to break through a genealogy brick wall by discovering a probate record, and I'm going to show you how I did this. So let me click out of this for a minute. So again, we're trying to find this man's grandfather because we do have pretty good evidence of his father and his brothers and sisters. So let me just show you what I have here, and then I'll show you how I broke through this genealogy brick wall using a probate record. And I'm going to try to keep this short, but I need to take you through some documents real quick here. And in your own search, if you use similar resources that I used, then you should be able to break through a genealogy brick wall depending on what the circumstance is. But I used ancestry.com pretty extensively on proving this, and a couple of other sources. But first of all, let me show you what I have here. Thomas Boone Wilcox, this person's death record is right here on the right. Okay? And if you look on here real closely, you can see that we've got, let me see, Thomas Boone Wilcox's name is at the top. Okay? And it says here on the left of this death certificate that his father was Harvey Wilcox and his mother was Rosa Crowson. Rosa Crowson. So let me show you what I was able to find. One thing that I found out is that his mother, Rosa Missouri Crowson, lived to be quite old, but his father died at a young age. And I have evidence of that here in a couple of different places, and it's going to help us lead to where this a probate record is. But let me show you here, first of all, evidence of the marriage here. Harvey S. Wilcoxon to Rosa Missouri Crowson. Now, this says Harry, but as I've gone to other records, we found out that this is actually a misprint, and it's supposed to be Harvey. So let me click over here a little bit. There's the probate record, but before I go to that, just to show what we have here, over here in the 1850 census, we have Rosie Wilcox, and she's alone here because in 1850 her husband had already died at a very young age. And so we have left here Rosie Wilcox with the children James, Mary, John, Jane, and Thomas. So this is our Thomas right here. My grandmother's grandfather basically is this Thomas Wilcox. So we do know who his parents are, but we don't know who Harvey's father is. Well, we do now based on my research, but it was a genealogy brick wall that I didn't have documentation for before. So let me show you a couple things that are interesting. We want to find out who Harvey's father is, right? So I'm going to show you how we did this. Couple of things that are going to be helpful. First of all, here is an obituary that I found, and if you look here, about in the middle where I'm circling here, it says her first marriage was to Harvey Wilcox, who died about 65 years ago. Well, this newspaper clipping was from 1914. If you do the math, it basically goes back to about 1850. This also shows her children as well as some sisters. And I'll show you, we'll get back to that here in a minute, but the children are right here in the census record. And it's verified in the, in this obituary on this page. So I'm going back in time here as we go to eventually get to the census record. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out is that as I did, I wanted to see who Harvey's parents were. And one thing that I found out is, let me see if I can get to this here. Is I found out through various sources here. I found out that the Harvey Wilcoxon, Harvey Wilcoxon had property that was close to other Wilcoxons. Let me show you if I could find this. Yeah, here it is right here. So here we have, this is a land plat of their property, two different sections in a township. And we have a Harvey Wilcoxon here in section number 35 in this area right here. But we also have Crosons and other Wilcoxons. And what's interesting is that the only Wilcoxon that's on this, that's a close neighbor, is this Amos Wilcoxon. So we know Harvey. This date that I'm showing you here is from a tax record. I'm sorry, of not a tax record, but a property that was purchased and owned by Harvey Wilcoxon. He purchased it in 1848. Well, 21 years earlier, Amos Wilcoxon had purchased a property very close to it, just, what is it, 40 acres away, and just right above where Harvey lives. So there's something interesting about this Amos Wilcoxon. Well, come to find out, what's interesting here is we need to find out what this relationship here is, and I'm going to show it to you here, and I think it'll save you time in the long run if you take probate records very seriously. So I'm going to show you how this works. Just keep in mind the proximity of this Harvey Wilcoxon to the Amos Wilcoxon. And incidentally, this Thomas Croson that you see on this page too, through my other research, I've been able to determine that this Thomas Croson is the father of Rosa Missouri Croson, who is the wife of Harvey Wilcoxon. So this is a family that's living real close to each other. So again, the big question is Amos Wilcoxon right here. Who is this Amos Wilcoxon? And is there some way of me proving how he was related to Harvey? So let me get out of this for a second. So again, going back to ancestry.com, see, give me a second here. A couple of interesting things here in ancestry.com. I looked up and I don't know if you could read this, but bear with me for a second, because I think it's going to help you in the long run in being able to really get a lot of good information from probate records as well as pre-1850 census records. So right here, this is a Missouri State Census collection. This is a state census of 1844, Callaway County in Fulton, Missouri. And right here, I don't know if you could read this or not. Let me see if I could expand this. That's the cool thing about Ancestry is you could expand these pictures here. So on this line where the hand is Harvey Wilcoxon, and right below it is an Amos Wilcoxon. Well, who is this person? If you transcribe these notes over here, it indicates that Amos Wilcoxon is 20 years older. Let's go back here. Amos Wilcoxon is this line right here where the hand is. It indicates that he's 20 years older than Harvey Wilcoxon in this particular census. So, there's just clues there. And as I look further into this census record, the ages of Rosa and Harvey's children match up with the 1850 census, which is this one right here. But it's curious that on this census record, we have Harvey and Amos close together, as well as that the land plat that I was showing you here with Harvey being very close to Amos. So this is the 1844 census. Now, so we want to look at probate records. This is the probate record that I was going to get to right here. Now, so here is, again, this is from FamilySearch.org. And the land records themselves I was able to get on Ancestry.com. So if you don't have a subscription to Ancestry, somewhere on this page, there's a link to Ancestry, and you may want to check that out and consider getting a subscription to that because it's very, very valuable. But going from Ancestry.com to Family Search, I was able to find in FamilySearch.org this probate record. So this is of Missouri, Putnam County, which is next door to Callaway County. But here is the probate of Amos Wilcoxon. And he died intestate, but his grandson, who's the brother of Thomas Boone Wilcox, discovered his estate, and they were trying to settle it here. Now, so let's look at some names here for a minute. I'm going to kind of go down here a little bit, but give me a second here. Okay. I'm going to go back here. Hang on for a second. Okay, estate of Amos Wilcoxon, deceased. Now at this time we come to the settlement of accounts of William Johnson, administrator, in the said estate. And let's go to the next page here, and let's see how this proves that Thomas B. Wilcoxon. Here's Thomas B. down here, but let me go up here for a second. Okay, it says that it was the probate was approved by the court, and the settlement was for the amount of $515 to the administrator, and they're going to pay a sheriff's fee here. And it says $75 is going to go to John Wilcoxon. What's interesting, guys, is that John Wilcoxon is a brother to Thomas Boone Wilcox. Now, Amos died after his own son Harvey died. And what's interesting is that Harvey's children are named in this probate, as well as Amos's children. But Harvey's not indicated in this probate because Harvey had died. So John Wilcoxon, through other research I've done, is Thomas Boone's brother, and John is also in that this 1850 census right here. John Wilcox right here. It's the same as Wilcoxon. So he's getting $75, which is the sum allowed to him by the court for his time and effort and trouble and expenses incurred, and I'm incurring in said estate. And then we've got $437, which is distributed accordingly, and I'll show you how this works. If you go down here a little bit, it says that the $450 is the amount which is now so $450 is paid to Lydia J. Osborne and Arminta Louder. Now, it says that each gets a sum equal to or more than their share of the said balance, and the last name balance, $437, is ordered to be paid of said taxes to John L. Wilcoxon, Thomas B. Wilcoxon, Mary Houchins, and Mary E. McKee. Now, Mary and Jane are children of Amos Wilcoxon, but Thomas Boone and John are not. Let's go back here and double check here for a second. I correct myself here. If you look at this 1850 census, we've got Thomas Wilcoxon, John Wilcoxon, Mary, James, and Jane. So let's look at this again. John L. That's a brother of Thomas Boone Wilcox, my Thomas Boone Wilcox, and then we've got Mary Houchins. The Mary is also a sister of John and Thomas, and Jane E. McKee. That's this one right here. So we're showing. Now, I wonder if James is on here. I'm trying to remember. He may have died before this. But on this probate, we're seeing Mary, John, Jane, and Thomas. Now, that's from Amos Wilcoxon. Again, this person right here who has this property that's pretty close to Harvey. And on this this probate for Amos, why would he be including these other children that happen to be children of Harvey? Well, the reason why Amos is listing the children of Harvey Wilcoxon is because Harvey died. And Harvey would have been the oldest in his family. And so because Harvey died, his grandchildren, Amos's grandchildren, are getting a good portion of his estate. So anyway, probate, it's amazing. The probate and wills are probably the best genealogical information that you could get on a family. And this is significant information. So what we have going here, this is what's kind of interesting, and I'm going to wrap it up now. So click out of all this. So what's interesting is now we have Thomas Boone Wilcox and myself, and so the way this goes is it goes me, and then my father, and then his mother, and this person here is my grandmother's grandfather. And because of a probate record, we were able to find Thomas Boone's father and grandfather, the grandfather Amos Wilcoxon. And from further research, what's interesting is this picture on the right. As I wrap this up, we were able to do further research and find out that Thomas Boone Wilcox is actually comes from the same line as Daniel Boone. Thomas Boone Wilcox goes back to a John Wilcoxon who married Daniel Boone's sister. So I'm a direct descendant of Daniel Boone's father. And Daniel Boone would be an uncle. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting what you find out through probate record. So I hope that was helpful to you. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you could get more tips and tricks, ideas on how to break through brick walls, genealogy brick walls, and also make sure to click on the link below that gives you a checklist, a long checklist that helps you to decide which documents to go through to find your own family, your own ancestors. It's a list of anywhere. It's anywhere from 50 to 100 possible resources that you could go to as you check off. The thing is, when I first started doing genealogy, I wasn't sure if I knew of all the possible resources to go to put together my family tree. And so I decided to put together this list of a checklist that you could go through to help you to decide all of the different sources to go to nail down your genealogy. So make sure to go to my the PDF below to access the checklist for checking off your own family history. Anyway, make it a great day. Bye. 22 minutes?